The Honeydew with y'all. Thank you for your support. Here's Ryan Sickler.
Welcome back to the Honeydew with y'all. We're over here doing it in the NIGHTPANTS studios. I'm Ryan Sickler, and I can't thank you enough. We've got a lot of new subscribers here. It's getting wild. I mean, just in the last handful of episodes, we've had a dude that fell off a fucking cliff and was a quadriplegic for over 30 hours in the wilderness. This motherfucker spent the night in the wilderness. Okay, I wouldn't do that with my legs working, all right? We had a girl who made history in a gang and then ran a BDSM club, and she's ripping assholes out of dudes. And we had a NIGHTPANTS Nation out here solving cold cases, y'all. 18-year-old cold case solved. Bullet still in the fucking skull. I'm telling you, I'm not stopping anytime soon because, basically we're all fucked up and sounds like there's plenty of stories out there. So if you're in for the long haul, sign up for a year. You'll get over a month of free episodes. You also get the Honeydew a day early ad-free. And if you or someone you know has that story that has to be heard, please submit it to honeydewpodcast@gmail.com. You do not need to be a member of the Patreon to submit. It doesn't even need to be you. Some of you hit me up like, hey, my buddy, my grandfather, this, that. That's great. I want to talk to everybody. So that's the info there. And as you know, I always say these are the stories behind the storytellers. And this one here today is unlike anything. I say it every week, but another one unlike anything we've had here on the Honeydew with y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kyle Keener. Welcome to the Honeydew with y'all, Kyle.
How's it going, man?
It's going good. Kyle, tell me quickly, where are you in the world right now?
I'm in Lexington, Kentucky.
All right, we're talking right out of Lexington. How old are you, Kyle?
I'm 31.
31, a young man. All right, and what do you do for a living?
I'm an abstract painter, and then I play guitar in a metal band called Rotting Kingdom.
Rotting Kingdom?
Yeah.
All right. Do you guys have anything on Spotify or anything like that?
Yeah, we're on Spotify, on all that stuff.
Right.
Vinyl, everything.
Do you tour?
COVID kicked that out of possibility. So we were about to, and then the pandemic hit, and then we weren't able to go on our tour. So we're just kind of chilling, recording until we can get back out there.
I feel your pain. I feel your fucking pain. All right, Kyle, speaking of pain, this is a very unfortunate story you have for us. It happens to be about your brother.
Yeah.
And some crazy shit went down when he turned 16. So let's start there, and then we can talk about, some things after that.
Yeah, so I got a phone call when I was in high school. I was about senior in high school at the time, and I got a phone call that I didn't recognize, and it was one of the girls that my brother hung out with, and she was like hysterical, saying that he'd been run over by a car. And so I asked her to hand the phone to him, and that wasn't a good idea because he didn't have anything to tell me. He couldn't say anything. He just screamed, and I'm still trying to forget that one.
Oh,
but
wait, the
I didn't even know what
fucking
was going
scream
on
that's stuck in your head is the one that basically you asked for? Like, wait, prove it to me.
Yeah, I was like, put him on the phone.
All right, first of all, what's your brother's name, Kyle?
All right, so my brother is named Jordan. Well, he was named Jordan, but I might refer to him as Jupe or Jupe Dan because he gave himself that nickname when he was younger, and it just stuck. So
when you say he got run over, you mean he was on foot? Like he was out of a vehicle?
So this is what's crazy is because we're from Kentucky, like we all would just party in fields and stuff and parking lots and shit. Yeah. And so they're out at a field party, which isn't very far from my dad's house. And they were just doing donuts. Like one of his friend's brothers had a car and he had just gotten his permit. So they had taken it out, and it was like a Nissan Pathfinder or something like that. And so my brother was driving it, and they were doing donuts without the lights on for some reason. And then he got out of the car to go pee and walked back, and his best friend got in the driver's seat and started doing the donuts. And so what the girl on the phone told me is that he was walking back to pee and they didn't see him, and they completely just ran him over full speed while they were doing the donuts. And so both sets of tires went over him. And then of course, because they all were scared about getting in trouble, they like tried to put him in the back of a car and stuff and like moved him and all this shit. And then they finally called an ambulance after everybody like realized they had to. So
how long do you think that was?
They had already called me before they called the ambulance.
Oh, my
So
God.
I was already on my way out.
I mean, no offense, Kyle. I hardly know you, but I promise you, in that situation, you ain't my first call.
No, man. I wouldn't have called myself either.
Hell no. I wouldn't call me either.
But,
yeah, fuck no.
Yeah, I was literally opening my first drink.
So what happened? So also they're in a field. So how far from fucking a hospital and everything are they?
I'd say they're probably 15 minutes out from the hospital or so. So not too bad. I actually got out there fast enough to where I saw the ambulance go by me when I was heading out there. So I immediately turned around. And then by that time, my dad called me and was like, what is going on? An ambulance driver just called me. And so we all just kind of jetted to
the driver called your dad?
Here. Yeah, the EM the emergency guy. Yeah, the EMT, he called my dad and told him that he needed to get to the hospital. So we got there. I get to the hospital, and then I watched them take him out of the ambulance and into the hospital, and he's all messed up. Like his clothes are all fucked up, and he's like covered in blood and stuff. He just mangled it. It was really bad.
Oh.
And then basically the rest of that night was just us just in the ER, like waiting and, trying to figure out if he was going to make it or not.
Are they telling you anything? Are they giving you a percentage?
No,
are they giving you any hope?
Well, they were telling my parents. They were telling my parents, but they weren't telling me shit. So like my parents were kind of just like, everything's going to be all right, and not really like telling me anything until they did tell me that he had like died twice on the table. My dad told me about that. And
he died twice? What do you mean died twice?
They had to revive him twice with the paddles because he just kept, there was so much damage to his body that he just kept going out. So yeah, it was rough, man.
He died twice?
He died twice, like in a row. And then all of it's kind of a blur because so many people showed up to the hospital too. Like that was the thing. My brother had a ton of friends, like an insane amount. So there was just so many people, so much going on.
Did the kid that ran over him show up?
Eventually he did. They all had to go to jail for a little bit first because they left the scene not knowing what to do. And then they're
like, listen, I don't know if your kid's going to make it or not, but that Nissan Pathfinder's a great truck.
Oh, dude, holy shit. My mom had one. Yeah,
I remember. Nice, I would not be a Nissan. I would be out of the family. Get him out of here. Get him out.
So basically what ends up happening is he's in the hospital for the next 3 months, just in and out of it, not really getting any better. He doesn't know what's going on at all. He's totally out of it.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Do you know
no problem.
The laundry list of things that now at this point, do you remember them? Tell me his injuries.
Yeah. So, man, basically, like the main one is he had a C7 fracture, I guess, in his spine. And so what happened is, and they came down and told us this after it had been a little while, but they were basically like, we don't think he's going to walk again. And all that. They actually told us that they thought he was going to be a vegetable first. So that was kind of nice that got passed pretty quickly. But basically, he had no function in his legs at all. He had kind of no function up to his chest right here, and his hands would only kind of open and close like this. So he could use his thumbs, but he was really like, so pretty much just from up here was all that really moved perfectly. So he had to relearn pretty much everything. He had to relearn how to breathe. Like it was insane. Yeah.
What about punctured lungs, broken bones?
Yeah, if there were, it was all just read together. You know what I mean? It was just kind of like everything all happened at once. But yeah, he actually, like, both tires hit him one after the other.
God.
And
talking about both axles you're talking about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Front and back. Yeah. with an SUV full of 5 teenagers too. So it's heavy.
And those kids fucking heard that, felt that under that car. Oh, God forbid.
Yeah, I haven't talked in details with them about it. But basically, so he's in the hospital for like a couple months.
So again, real quick, he was conscious then when because he was yelling. I know he probably wasn't with it, but at least he was making noise at the time when he was hit.
I would say he was conscious, but not really fully there. He wasn't making it. He didn't know what was going on. And then he was in and out of consciousness like the whole time in the hospital, but he was never actually there to talk to you. He was like so fucked up off of all the meds and everything that like, he looked at my dad once and he called him a pussy because he wouldn't chase the tiger. And my dad was like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Chase the tiger, you pussy." And my dad just was like, "What?" I'm like, so he had no idea what was going on at all, man. Like, so that was the hardest part, is just he'd be looking at me and just, it was like he was tripping or something. He just couldn't figure out what was going on. And then after 2 months, they finally transferred him down to this place called the Shepherd Center in Atlanta, which is they specialize in people with spinal damage and stuff. And it was like night and day, man. They got him down there and he was like, within a week, he was like awake and talking to people, and they had him like working on himself and actually in the rehab and trying to get everything going. But so, I mean, it was a long haul. He was down at, so we would go down to Atlanta to visit him and stuff. And so the first time I went down to visit him, he had like he got a hold of my mom's phone. He was talking to me and he was like, "You have to bring a blunt down here. You have to bring weed. I'm losing my damn mind." Like, cause I forgot to tell you, he was intubated this whole time. So he had a big like hole in his neck from a breathing tube and all that. So, so when I got down there,
can I ask you this real quick before we get into these stories?
Yeah.
Like, do you want to? Were you friends with the kid that did this? Friendly? Yeah. Like, how does that affect your fucking relationship with this kid?
So this is what's crazy is he's still like, we all consider him a good friend of the family. Like
still today?
Me and like when my brother was was still best friends with him. Like they had, it was a little awkward, I would say, you know, like, but and our families kind of got a little weird there for a minute, but everybody was still cool with each other. And like my brother set up his bachelor party for him and stuff. So they're all still good. When I first found out about it and found that they left from the scene, I got very upset about it and I was really angry. But then once I talked to him, I quickly figured out like, oh shit, this was completely an accident. Like, you know, like, and you're just as screwed up as everybody else is from all this. I know he had a rough time.
I'm sure.
From all that. Yeah. I couldn't imagine, man.
I mean, I'm sure if you just did it to a stranger, you'd have a difficult time doing it to your best friend. And then your families are intertwined and it's a constant reminder.
And it's like, we knew him, we grew up with him. So that was his best friend from preschool.
God.
Yeah. It was wild. But yeah, so
okay, so you went down to Atlanta to visit him.
Yeah, so I went down to Atlanta to visit him. I hadn't seen him when he was coherent yet, and he'd lost, like, man, he was like rail thin. He didn't look like himself at all. Completely different person. And the minute my mom leaves, he's like, "All right, did you bring that blunt? Let's go smoke." And I was like, and he literally still has the hole in his neck. So I'm like, man, I don't know if we should smoke the blunt. This probably isn't a good idea. And he's just like, like, no, we're doing it.
Right there. Put it right there.
Yeah, that's pretty much how he was, man. And so
I'd tell you to shotgun it in that hole. I'd be like, blow it in that hole. I'll smoke one up here. You blow yours in my hole, motherfucker. Listen, after that, you should be able to shove heroin in that hole if you fucking want to. You know what I mean? You should be able to do whatever the fuck you want, man. That's what just happened to you. You should be able to do whatever the fuck you need to do to get through that shit.
That's how he lived his life, man. He did whatever the fuck he wanted after this. Like, he really did.
Good for him. I would too, God damn it.
Yeah. So we went up on the parking garage and we smoked the blunt and he hacked like crazy on it. Like,
and now how did you get him up there?
Off of it. He was in a wheelchair already,
Okay.
so we just wheeled him up. And,
So he's sitting now. He's talking. He's himself mentally. Does he remember everyone? Does he remember?
I'm moving a little fast on it, but yeah.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, so he's totally there. He's totally like his brain is totally fine from everything. Nothing, So he's even crazier than he was. Like he was always pretty crazy. But so like for instance, like the first family outing we take with him. I think my mom took him to IKEA, and the whole time he just acted like he was mentally handicapped to embarrass my mom. And it got bad. He was getting really loud, but yeah, like that was like right off the bat.
And then the people see this lady yelling at a kid, they think he's handicapped. Like, listen, look at this bitch. Yeah.
She's like, Jordan, shut up, Jordan. He's just like hamming it up even more.
Shut up.
And so
wait, did you ever talk to him?
Yes.
About what he remembered from that night? Like he just goes out into the dark to take a piss, and then his life changes.
Well, they were all wasted, so they were like absolutely drunk as shit. So he, like, when I did talk to him, he didn't remember a whole lot about it either way. But no, he didn't talk about like the accident too much. Like, but he'd talk about anything you wanted to with him. But yeah, as far as the accident, he just kind of just like didn't, revisit it that much. Mm-hmm. But so we're down in Atlanta and smoking this blunt, and he gets insanely high, and he tells me to grab his other wheelchair. And so
he's got a backup. He's got
a backup. So he puts me in the other wheelchair. So we're just racing each other around the hospital. I mean, like people are being real quiet. We're being loud as shit, acting like it's Mario Kart. And then his nurse comes up and she's like, "What are you doing? You need to get back in your room." And he's just like, "No, this is my brother Kyle. He's in a wheelchair too." And like he just tries to convince his nurses that I'm already handicapped and that they have to like help me out too. So he was just constantly messing with them and shit. But yeah, so as far as hold on, I'm trying to as far as like him in the wheelchair and stuff, like, man, we would drop him all the damn time, like trying to get him in the cars and stuff, because you have to transfer somebody in a wheelchair. And like it's so like I'd say it's like the first week he's back home, and I drop him and he hits his head on a sewer grate. Oh God. And it goes ping, and I was like, "Oh my God, are you all right?" And he's just like, "I'm fine, I'm all right, it's all good." Like shit like that happened every week. Like people think people in wheelchairs are like fragile. They're fucking not, man. Like he would get really drunk at bars, and he would Superman dive out of his chair and try and tackle you, like just to make a scene and shit. Like he was not normal in his wheelchair at all. Like.
Listen, this is exactly what you should do if you're in there. I mean, my God.
Dude, it's crazy.
It didn't stop him from fucking having fun.
No, so.
Well, he was 16 when that happened. So did he finish high school and
No. Well, yeah, he did. Well, sorry. He did finish high school, but he had to do a lot of it like virtually and shit like that. Yeah.
What about college? Didn't he go to college?
Yeah, he went to college about like 7 times. So
where? All the same school?
Yeah, the same school. He just kept withdrawing and go. Like he'd get all fucked up and like forget to go to class, and then he'd just be like, they'd be like, "Well, you withdrew," and he'd be like, "All right, I'll sign up next semester," and then he just started all over again. So he withdrew about 6 or 7 times, and his major changed every single time.
What did he want to go to college for? Just to be around people?
It switched. I think it was like, it started out with like food sciences, and then it switched to art, and then it switched to like, he was an artist. He did like cartoon stuff. Like I actually have one of his right here, man. I don't know if you can see this, but it's Gandhi rolling a blunt.
Yeah, that's really good. So, actually.
Yeah. So he had a lot of really cool art. But yeah, so I guess I can tell this one story because he was in college during, so he called me one day and he was like, "Hey man, some crazy shit just went down." I was like, "What?" He goes, "I was in school at a class and I got a call from my buddy saying, I think I just saw the DEA battering ram down your front door."
They're not knocking. They're coming. That means they got paperwork. You know, you've been on their minds.
Yeah. So he told me, he was just like, "Oh shit!" And so he drove home. He had like a van that was equipped to where he could drive it. And so what happened was basically my brother liked to party a lot, and so like him and his friends would always be partying, and my brother, because of all this, there was a lawsuit over the car, over him being run over and everything, and just for damages. And so he had a lot nicer of a house than you would think a dude that age would have. And there was always people coming in and out, and all of his buddies, and some of his buddies like dealt drugs, but nothing like crazy, just like small amounts. And my brother liked to do pretty much anything. If it wasn't super hard, he'd pretty much do it. And so basically he's in class and he gets a call, and he goes home to his house, and there's like 10 DA agents in full SWAT gear. 3 out of the 4 people that usually hung out at his house are all zip tied on the floor in his living room.
Jesus Christ.
Luckily, my brother had a service dog with him, so the service dog was with him, luckily. And his house is destroyed. He had security cameras. They cut down every security camera in the house, ripped them out of the walls.
What the fuck do they think's going on?
So one of the kids had been selling small bags of cocaine to people, and they thought my brother was the kingpin. They thought he was the supplier. So they had a warrant because my brother was always around. They were following this dude, and my brother was just always there because he didn't have a job.
You know what? Fuck these DEA agents. You know why they followed your brother? Because they're fucking lazy, and he was the slowest one. That's why. That's why. Because they don't want to fucking do their jobs, and they go after the easy target, these motherfuckers. The guy that can't move.
Yeah. So they do that. So they're in there. They've got everybody zip tied. My brother finds out they've all been zip tied for 4 hours. He didn't answer his phone the first time. And so they've torn his whole house apart. They're looking, and the cops are basically, all they found is they found an ounce on this one guy, and they found a tiny bag of coke on him. And so they found like
an ounce of weed or an ounce of coke?
An ounce of weed. Yeah, sorry, an ounce of weed.
And a little bag of coke? That's
a little bag of
That's
coke.
The big
That's
bust.
all they found. Yeah. But they also took all my brother's guns that he had. So they just took all his guns. They took all of they smashed that door down. It's off the hinges. They didn't put it back up.
Here's another thing.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what your stance on guns is, okay? This is a man who can't even use his fucking legs.
Yeah.
In a crazy-ass world, if anyone should be allowed to possess a firearm for fucking safety, it should be someone like that.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, if you'd asked me before that, and I'd say if my brother should have guns, I probably would have said no. Just because he did almost shoot his foot off with an Uzi one time.
All right. There's exceptions to every rule. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But he should have been able to keep them. He didn't do anything wrong.
He probably wouldn't have felt it, though. He probably wouldn't have.
So basically, what happens is he's pissed. He's yelling at these DEA agents, and they were basically like, there's nothing you can do. We're arresting these 2 of your friends. So they arrest 2 of his friends on the possession charges, and the cops leave. And so I'm hanging out with my brother.
They just straight up pull a my bad? Oops, but we're going to take these 2 guys for this weed and coke?
Yeah, this is the craziest part, is my brother tried to go after him with his lawyer because he found out that the warrant was for the kid they arrested, and they said that was his house, and he didn't even live at that address. So he was like, they didn't even have the right of warrant. It was a false warrant. So what ended up happening is they just left his door like that. So he didn't have a door on his house for a month. It was just plywood that was nailed up there. And it was cold as shit, too. I'd go over there and be like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm still waiting on a door. Goddamn DEA fucking like.
They're in no hurry to give you that motherfucking door.
And so my brother is one of those dudes. He always had something on him. He'd be like, where's the weed? He'd be like, oh, here you go. And like, he always had something. And so I'm like, they didn't find anything. He goes, they didn't find the sheet of acid that was allegedly in my bathroom. And I was like, oh my God. So they tore his whole house apart, didn't find any actual drugs, and then just arrested 2 dudes that were just kind of basically crashing on his couch. And the best part is my parents don't know it was the DA. They thought it was the police the whole time, like still to this day.
Really?
They just, yeah. They were like, the police went into Jordan's house that day. And I'm like, that was a DA raid. They got him, man. So he was mad about that one, but that happened while he was in college. Some of the other shit that happened in college, he was at a frat party one night and he called me the next day. And he was like, hey, I need you to come over here. I don't feel good. And I go over to his room and there's just like pieces of a raw pumpkin all over his bed. And his stomach is like distended. It's like out to here. And I'm like, what the heck? He goes, I think I ate a whole raw pumpkin when I was blackout last night. And I found out that he apparently sat there and ate a whole pumpkin while he was drunk in front of people.
Can you do that?
He did. Like, he was fine, but yeah, when he was in college, man, he was doing some crazy shit. All right,
well, you've got, I really want to talk about how your brother celebrated life because you have a laundry list of stories. So I'm going to just throw things out here. Let's hear about the Scottie Pippen story.
Okay. So there was this bar here in Lexington that was like kind of like the big college bar where everyone would just go party. And my brother was getting wasted there one night, and he was in line for the bathroom for the handicap stall. And there was a guy in front of him.
He's in line? Are there other handicapped people ahead of him?
Yeah, no.
Right. They should. He should get first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's in line. There's this dude in the handicap bathroom, and he's just doing lines of blow in the bathroom. And so my brother's just patiently waiting. And he said this really tall dude just walks in behind him and was like, hey,
where
man,
is he?
What's going on? He's at this bar in Lexington. Like, it's like kind of well-known bar called Two Keys. It's not here anymore. And this really tall dude walks in behind him and goes, hey, little man, what's up? And he turns around, it's Scottie Pippen. And he has no idea why Scottie Pippen's there. I still don't know why Scottie Pippen was there at all. And Scottie Pippen just goes, what's up, dude? You waiting in line? And my brother's like, yeah, I'm just waiting for the restroom. And Scottie Pippen leans over, sees that the dude is just blowing lines.
Yeah, all he's got to do is peek over.
Scottie Pippen reaches over, unlocks the door, and pulls the guy out of the bathroom and goes, my man Jordan, here you go, buddy. And
wait, it's Pippen and Jordan again.
Yeah, exactly.
Pippen with the assist to Jordan. I love it.
So my brother wheels right into the bathroom and he just starts doing lines of cocaine in there. He didn't have to pee. He just wanted to use the bathroom to do blow.
That's his toilet, man. That is his toilet, dude.
Yeah. So,
well, I saw Michael Jordan into something down here, too. What's that story?
Yeah, I was about to say I can piggyback off of that one. So, like, around this time, like, he's partying a lot. My brother, and, like, he would randomly call me every once in a while, and he'd be like, you know, on too much shit at the end of the night or something. Everybody left, and so this one night in particular, he'd been staying up all night doing blow with everybody, and everybody leaves, and he's alone, and all the rehab commercials for like Promises of Malibu come up.
Yeah,
and he convinces himself that he needs to go to rehab, and so the next morning he wakes up. And he still wants to go to rehab, and he sent all these emails and shit, and he like canceled them all. And then he decides that my dad kind of just talks him in, instead of going to rehab, maybe you should just go to like a nice spa or something like that, a spa hotel. So he goes to the Omni in North Carolina.
Now, how does he do that? Does he drive?
Yeah. So he has a big ass GMC truck that's like converted. It has like an elevator lift thing on the back that picks his chair.
So that
up
way you guys don't drop him anymore. He's got hydraulics now to help his ass.
Yeah, but those hydraulics, they'd short out all the time, and he'd get stuck just sitting outside of his car.
Is that right?
Being able to get in. Yeah. It was like twice a week he'd call me. He'd be like, dude, the damn lift is broke. I'm stuck. I can't reach my wheelchair. I just find it just floating, like hanging off the ground. I can't get it. It was nonstop, man. He would lose his truck all the time too. He'd be like, hey man, I need you to come and help me find my truck. I can't figure out where I parked it last night. It'd just be like every week. But so, so he's freaking out thinking he needs to go to rehab because he's been partying too much lately. And so he calls me and he's like, hey, I booked this hotel weekend. I'm going to go. I'm going to like get my shit together. I'm not going to like party. I'm just going to relax. And so I don't hear from him on the drive. He's like smoking weed the whole way down. And apparently he gets in and he gets into the hotel and he goes out to dinner and he comes back and he's made friends with the bellhop. And the bellhop is like, hey, Jordan, I think you need to go out on the porch. He's like, man, I'm really tired. I don't want to go out there. He goes, I think you need to go out on the porch. And he walks out there and it's Michael Jordan. Oh, sorry, man. He rolls out there. I did this to him all the time. I'd be like, let's walk over there and be like, fuck you, dude. Like, what the...
So he goes out there.
So he rolls out there and it's Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing, and like all the Carolina Tar Heels out there hanging out.
No way.
And, yeah.
Like, oh my God.
So he hangs out with them for a bit, gets pictures with Michael Jordan and Patrick Ewing and everything. And then he calls me and he's like, you're never going to believe what happened. And I was like, what? And he just sends me these pictures. And I'm like, what the hell, dude? And he's like, yeah, all right, I'm going to go to bed. I'll call you later. And I get a picture from him 3 hours later, and he's in a VIP green room drinking Bud Light Platinum with T-Pain. You know?
This motherfucker. You know what? I love that he would roll solo and not have to wait for anybody. Like, all these people out there, all of you listen to me, that ones of you say, should I come to your comedy show solo? Yeah, you should. Sporting event, all that. Don't miss out on life because you need to have somebody else with you. Tell them that story. I mean, my God, I love that this dude's in a wheelchair and he's like, fuck that, I'm not going to let it stop me. He could have sat at home, been addicted to pills and just fucking wasted away. And he's out there drinking Bud Light Platinum with T-Pain, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, man. And T-Pain brought him up on stage with him too. So like the whole show, he's got like a couch up there and my brother's just sitting next to the couch, just drinking Bud Light, hanging out with T-Pain. Yeah. And that's a running thing, man. I get calls from my friends and they'd be like, dude, I'm at the Raekwon show and your brother's on stage.
What are you talking about?
And Raekwon. Dude, rappers loved him. I don't understand. Like he'd be rolling solo and run into one and they'd be like, all right, you're coming with us, Jordan. And they just hang out.
So he's not at their show and they see him in the audience and bring him up.
It's like, it would always be something weird. He'd be at the show, but he'd like show up early and just be walking by. Like it happened to us one time.
It's mad respect though. If a guy in a wheelchair came to my show, but who you here with? He's like, oh, I'm here by myself. I'm like, dude, are you fucking kidding me right now? Man. Hell yeah.
They always treated him really good, man. But yeah, so he's just wasted on these stages, just like partying and stuff. Like it's crazy. Every single time people still send me pictures. I'm like, what? I didn't realize he was at that show too. But so he's supposed to be having a rehab weekend. He's drinking with T-Pain. I'm like, what the hell, dude?
Yeah,
like,
right.
That is crazy.
I'm partying, but it was Bud Light. It was Bud Light.
And so he didn't stop there. Then he just decided, well, I'm not done. So he drove to like Washington, D.C. and just got a real fancy hotel up there and just kept partying and more crazy shit happened. But
so he's just rolling city to city now, like on his own tour?
Yeah. So he just, it turned into like the rehab the rehab tour.
Let me ask you, was he on any kind of government assistance? I'm assuming he couldn't work, right?
No, he couldn't work.
Lawsuit, maybe.
So the lawsuit, he was pretty wealthy from the lawsuit, so he was able to do whatever he wanted. Gotcha. And he usually did bring like a whole posse of crazy dudes with him anywhere he went, but like this time he didn't because it was supposed to be like a rehab weekend, so he didn't bring the partiers with him.
Self-betterment right here. It's a self-betterment.
But there's one where he took me on a trip with him to Mardi Gras, and it got insane. A little too insane I was pretty wild growing up. I could hang pretty good, but they had all just turned 21. And he last second was like, we're going to Mardi Gras for do you want to go? And I was like, all right. So I hopped in the car with him. And man, like as soon as we get there, everybody just starts drinking and we're getting crazy. I don't remember the first night at all. And then the second night, I'm taking it easy and they're still like on one from the first night. And at the time I wasn't smoking weed. It's like the one time in my life I wasn't. And we're riding around in the car. And they're smoking a blunt and we're trying to get past the parades. And I don't know why, but they just drove straight up to a cop. And while we're smoking the blunt and just asked him, hey, how do we get around this parade? And the cop is like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, you're smoking a blunt right in my face." My brother's
while
driving. Like, yeah, while driving. And he's basically like, "Y'all need to get the fuck out of here," and like lets us go. And I was like, "All right, that's fucking weird." And then so we start partying and we're going out, and then I go to bed and they all go out. And my brother liked to dress up in costumes when he would party and shit.
What do you mean?
Like sometimes he would wear, like, for instance, this night he was wearing a Teletubby outfit, like a full body, like Tinky Winky purple Teletubby outfit.
He did it right, God damn it. He fucking did it right, God damn it. That's what I'm
so I didn't realize that he had put this on. I'd already gone to bed.
So he's in a Teletubby outfit in a wheelchair?
Yeah. And he's on like day 2 of a bender, like just completely gone. And he would get so fucked up that he would try and talk to people at a party and they would literally think that there was something like really wrong with him, because he would be so drunk and he's just in the wheelchair like, he'd just corner people, and I'd just laugh. I'd be like, they have no idea. He's just hammered.
He's just shit-faced.
He's just shit-faced. But so basically, I'm asleep. I get a phone call, and it's this bartender. And she's like, "Is your brother in a wheelchair?" And I was like, yeah. And I was like, "What's going on?" She was like, "Well, I found him in the middle of Bourbon Street, falling out of his wheelchair."
No.
I was like, "Oh, shit."
The dirtiest street in America.
Yeah, dude, he smelled so fucking bad.
The dirtiest street in America to lay on. He's in that Teletubby outfit, so it's like soaking up all that piss water. That's just, so bad, man. And so he's just laying there shit-faced in the Teletubby outfit.
So I get out there, and and he's like with these 2 girls from a bachelorette party, and they've got like a devil pitchfork, like blow up like little thing, and he's just smacking them with it, just yelling at them, just saying like, "Where are we going? Let's go party," and all this. They're like, "You got to stay here. Like, we're waiting for your ride to get here." So I pull up, and he doesn't want to see me at all. He's like, "Get the fuck away from me,"
because he knows this
I'm gonna
shit's
take
over.
him home.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to push his ass through Bourbon. He's just like stealing people's drinks, like just like smacking people, like pushing people over and shit. And he's just yelling at me, calling me an idiot. I finally get him back to the hotel. I'm wrangling him. I'm covered in the piss, like New Orleans water at this point. And I've got him laying in the bed. And he's just laying there, and he's yelling at me like, "You pussy, like, let's go party, let me up, like, let's get out of here." And his buddies who had like lost him earlier that night, they had apparently just lost him. I don't know how, but
yeah, right.
So they come back in, and they immediately grab him and bring him right back out to go party. And so I'm like, all right, fuck this, I don't know what's going on. So I go back to sleep. And this is the night before we need to leave the next day. And of course, I'm the one who's driving us back to Kentucky. And I wake up, and what I wake up to is 2 of the tallest hookers I've ever seen in my life.
Are they dudes?
No, but one of them was a little questionable because it's really tall. But
sure wasn't Scottie Pippen again.
So, and all I hear is her, and I'm laying on the floor asleep, and I just hear her go, "Oh, it's okay, honey, just go right back to sleep." And I see her taking my brother's pants off on the bed, and I'm like, I'm leaving. So I get up, and I grab all of my shit out of the safe. I grab all of my stuff, my computer and everything, and I leave. And so my brother's other friend has the other girl in the bathroom. And so I'm leaving, and I'm in the hotel lobby, and I'm like sitting there. It's been about 30 minutes. I'm just like, it's early in the morning, so I'm not happy I'm awake. And all of a sudden I just see my brother's friend come running into the lobby without a shirt on, and he's looking everywhere. And I'm like, oh shit, they got robbed. And he comes, he goes, "They took our phones, our wallets, everything." And I was like, "Why'd you think I took my shit out of the room, dude?" Of course. And so it turns out that they had just picked these people up when they were like totally fucked up in a casino at the end of the night. And the bartender told them as they're picking these girls up that they are known for stealing people's shit and robbing them, and they did it anyway. And so I come up, and I bring my buddy or my brother's friend up to the room, and we go in there, and my brother is passed out on the bed, completely spread eagle, butt naked. And I'm trying to wake him up. And I'm like, dude, you've been robbed. And he just looks at me and goes, what? And I was like, you got robbed. And he goes, oh, shit. All right. And then he just goes right back to sleep. And he doesn't care at all. So I have to, because he's so fucked up, I have to cancel his credit cards. I have to get in front of everything. So I'm going through, and I left out one part of this. Earlier, apparently, like the day before, they've been out drinking all night, and he's wasted in the morning. And it's like 7 a.m. They're walking back to the hotel, and he really liked art. And he walked into this like famous art gallery, like of this guy named Rodrigue. He paints these like blue dogs. And my brother just like decides to buy one of the most expensive paintings there at 7 a.m. It was like $50,000.
Holy shit.
And the only reason I found this out is because I'm going through, he told me, he's like, yeah, I drunkenly bought a painting, but it's tight though. And so I'm going through his credit card. Yeah, so going through his fucking credit card to like cancel this shit. And I'm like, dude, did you spend 50 grand when you were drunk on that painting? And he was like, yeah, I did. Don't tell anyone. I was like, all right, well, as I'm telling everybody. But so my parents find out about him buying this painting, and they're like, everyone's yelling at him. And so it was this big joke that he bought this expensive painting. And then like 2 years after that, the painter dies and it triples in value. And he just was like, yeah. And so he was like, fuck y'all, I'm buying whatever I want when I'm drunk. I'm not listening
Good
to
for
him.
Yeah. Another one to Jordan.
Yeah.
Another one.
So I'm going through trying to trying to figure all this shit out. And his buddy's trying to find these hookers to try and get his money back and stuff. But
did your brother have sex?
Yeah, so he did.
And did his dick work? I want to know, like, what happens to your blood flow and everything down there? Because it's just blood. It's not a bone. So did his dick work?
His dick worked, but I don't know if he could felt it. But he definitely still fucked. He didn't care. And then, man, he liked hookers and stuff, and strippers, like the most. Like those. Yeah,
tell me this. Wait, here's Miami. I want to hear about Miami and Skeletor. Is what I see.
All right,
here.
So Miami, basically, him and his buddies, like a couple of the same people from Mardi Gras, all going down to Miami just to get wild as shit. And the same thing, they're just like partying and stuff. So they go to the strip club and they party all night, and they're partying with this one stripper in particular. And she like offers like, hey, I'll just hang out with you guys for the rest of the night if you just pay me some money. So my brother's like, hell yeah, let's do it. And so he finagles that she has to drive them around since they don't have a car in Miami. And he said that was the biggest mistake he ever made in his life. He said that was the scariest drive he's ever taken with anybody.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Your brother has been run over by an SUV. And he said the biggest mistake he ever made in his life was that. And that was the scariest ride. He got run over by a fucking truck. Think about how scary that is.
So they all drive. So they get back to this hotel, and they're up all night partying with her. And so apparently, Coke Dick, he can't get it up or anything like that. So it's like morning. So I'm like, well, what did you do? And he said he took her down for a continental breakfast, and they ate a nice breakfast in the hotel together. And then they played checkers in the lobby for 3 hours, and he whipped her ass at checkers. And he was more excited about beating the stripper in checkers than he was like hanging out all night doing all the other crazy shit. But yeah. And then Skeletor stripper, that was here in Lexington, because we don't have, our strippers are a little dicier here. But there was one night where we used to go out on Thursdays and get dinners together, and we would get pretty drunk, and we got really drunk. So we gathered up some of our friends, and it happened to be during an ice storm in the winter. So like we had to get a taxi cab to take us out to Spearmint Rhino is where we went. And we get out there, and there's no one there because it's an ice storm. There's like literally no one there. All the waitresses are all pilled out. So they're just like kind of zombified walking around. And it closes in 30 minutes. And so my brother immediately goes, I want VIP service. So we're sitting next to the stage. And so they come out, he pays however much money, and they bring him a bottle of vodka, and they literally walk us 5 feet over to another seat behind, like in a VIP area when there's no one else there. And it's like, I could touch the seat they moved us to.
Yeah.
And
they just put a rope around that shit.
They set down the bottle of vodka, and there's 4 of us there, and they just go, all right, you've got 30 minutes left. And so my brother just starts annihilating this vodka. And he orders chicken wings, and then he orders, and so he orders chicken wings, and then the stripper walks up to him, and she's like super skinny, and she walks up to him, she's like, I'd like to give you a lap dance. And he immediately just goes, hell no, Skeletor, get away from me. And so he keeps calling this stripper Skeletor, and she keeps like swarming around us trying to get a dance from him. He keeps saying no and like telling her to go away. And then finally this other stripper comes up and he gets a private dance from her. So all my friends are going to eat his chicken wings. So they come out and I grab the chicken wings. I bring them back, and there's like this curtain you have to pull in the private room. So I've got like all these chicken wings in this styrofoam to-go container. And I just open it, and she's like riding him just all over him. And I just hand him the chicken wings. I'm like, here you go. And I turn around, and then I turn back to close the shade or whatever. And there is just chicken wings. So I don't know how it happened this fast. They have chicken wing sauce all over each of them, and they're like feeding each other chicken wings. It was like the grossest thing I've ever seen.
Your brother did it right.
And he's just covered in chicken wings, and like
he only had 30 minutes. This is what I'm talking about. That is a microcosm of your brother right there. I got 30 minutes. I'm going balls to the motherfucking wall right now. All right, that's how he lived life. Yeah.
So that bottle of vodka's done. All the chicken wings are done. He comes out, he's covered in it. She's covered in chicken wing sauce. And we're getting thrown out because my friend is trying to fight a bouncer for some reason. So we get thrown out, and my brother's getting thrown out with us. And I never saw him puke ever. I don't know if it was because of the accident, but like this is the one time, and he just started projectile vomiting like chicken wings all over the front of the strip club, like everywhere. God. It was one of the nastiest things. I've never seen somebody eat chicken wings with a stripper before during a lap dance.
Rub it all over him.
So gross, man.
All right, insane. I want to hear. You said he drove, and he did get into some trouble driving one time. I want to hear about
once.
This. Not just
he totaled
once.
4 cars, and they were all modified too. Like so they. Like had all this shit done to him. He just kept totaling them left and right. So, but I'll tell the last one, the only one he ever got a DUI. He had never been arrested ever. Like, I don't know how, but
I know how. They don't want to put him away. What are they going to do with that guy in jail?
But prior to the accident, we were not chill. Like, yeah. So basically, I'm playing a show, and he came to the show, and he gets annihilated. And this show is at a venue that's like a couple blocks from the house that we were both living at the time. And so he's wasted, and I keep being like, dude, you're getting way too drunk. Like, calm it down. Like you can't be this fucked up here. And so it's the end of the show, and I guess to piss me off, he just grabs a trash can and throws it in the bar. And it was barbecue food truck night, so it's just like sloppy barbecue everywhere. So I'm just on the floor, like cleaning up all this barbecue, and he's just laughing at me, just making fun of me. And so I'm like, well, fuck you then, dude. I'm not going to help you like get into your car. And so I should have helped him. He gets into his car and he drives like, our house is 2 blocks away, man. Like it is right there.
No.
And so I'm like 15 minutes behind him. I load up my guitar and my amps and all that, and I'm in my car, and I'm coming down the street, and I just am seeing blue lights flashing like a block away. And I'm already like, fuck, that's Jordan. I know it is. And so what happened is he came around this turn to turn left onto this street, and he he says he lost control of his hand controls of the wheel. And unfortunately, he just beelined it and slammed right in between a Honda Civic and a cop car.
God damn.
So he drills this
a
cop car. Yeah, with the cop in the car. It's parked at a light. Wait,
it's not parked on the side of the road? They're in traffic?
This is traffic. He goes straight through the other lane and sandwiches in between the cars.
I'm thinking a country road here or something.
No, this is downtown Lexington. This is like a three, like there's like 4 lanes or so. It's pretty big. And he just spins this cop car out, goes straight through a wrought iron gate into someone's front yard and drives up a tree. And he's in a giant big like GMC truck. And he's just stuck up there on top of this tree, and he's still spinning the wheels and shit trying to get away. And
that's how this whole mess started, these goddamn donuts, bro.
So I parked my car and I run over there, and the cop's like, "Why are you?" I was like, "That's my brother," and he's still up in the tree, like hanging. And I'm like, and the first thing I go, like, "Are y'all gonna take him to jail?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, we're taking him to jail." I was like, "Fuck!" So I had to call my dad. And my dad immediately starts yelling at me, he's like, "What? Why'd you let him drive?" I was like, "It's a long story, man. Like, well, you know how he is." And so as I'm on the phone with my dad, I see them getting him out of the car. So they're having to like carry him down out of the car. They put him in his wheelchair, and I see 4 cops are like lifting him up to get him in the back of a paddy wagon, and he's just like waving at. And the best part is,
he did it right.
So he gets the DUI. He's fucked. He gets out of jail like the next day, and he goes, "Dude, that was my friend Jordy's dad's house that I ran into."
No.
Yeah. So like it ended up being his buddy's tree that he took out. Like,
God damn.
Yeah.
All right. So, he passed away, obviously, you said. Let's talk about, how did he die?
So, man, this is the craziest shit of all. Essentially, like, he liked to party a lot. So he was living about an hour away from here in Louisville. And he was partying with my friends one night, and his favorite thing to eat was steak. Like, he would just always eat fucking steak nonstop. And my buddy, one of my best friends that was living with him, he went to bed, and then my brother like stayed up and was cooking a steak, and he was all like fucked up. And I guess where his from the accident, his diaphragm didn't work as well as it should. So if he got something stuck, it was hard for him to get it out. Like he couldn't just like cough really. And so he was just took a way too big bite of steak and just started choking, and nobody was there, and my buddy was asleep in the other room. And
no way.
My buddy woke up because he heard my brother like fall out of his chair or something like that. And when he woke up, he'd been out for like 5 minutes or so, and then when I talked to him, he had already called the EMTs, and the EMTs were on their way. And
they didn't call you first this time? They called the EMTs?
He called the EMTs first this time, luckily. But unfortunately, when they showed up, he'd been out for too long without air. And so I was living in Nashville at the time, so I drove up. He choked to death
on a piece of steak?
Yeah, man.
And while your friend was in the house?
Yeah, my friend was in the other room.
Please say it's not the same dude that fucking ran him over.
It's not, but it's one of my. It's like if that was his best friend that ran him over, this is my best friend who was with him. So we all went on vacations together, all 4 of us and shit growing up. So my buddy comes out, finds him like that, calls the ambulance. I get called, and I'm in Nashville, so I start driving up to Louisville. And when I get there, we're in the hospital, and it's like about 3 days. It took about 3 days for him to actually like pass. Cause he had,
I had a friend that was he brain dead at that point?
He was brain dead. Yeah. By the time we got him to the hospital, he was already brain dead. And so we had to make the decision to take him off the ventilator and everything. And so that took about 3 days. I didn't sleep for those 3 days. It was kind of just like a big blur. And it was the weirdest part, man, is like the deja vu of it. Cause when he had his accident when he was 16, like everyone came to the hospital. Like I'm talking like hundreds of people. And like the same thing happened when he died. It was like the same people were back there again. And it was like super weird because the deja vu was just like intense to deal with. And so like it's like 3 long days, and it's towards the last day, and we're all just kind of waiting. And my dad is like, "Hey, go get his car. Here's his keys." And so I go out to get his car. I get his car, I park it, and I'm in the elevator going back up to see my whole family. Everybody's up there, and it's like obviously the most fucked up moment of everybody's lives. And I'm carrying some stuff out of the car. So I take my brother's car key and I put it in my mouth. And as soon as I put the car key in my mouth, I'm like, that's a familiar taste. And my entire face goes numb. His car key had so much coke lined in it that I did like the equivalent of like 3 bumps. Like, and I was just like jacked. And I was just like, you motherfucker. Like, I'm with my entire family, and I don't do blow, and I'm just fucking just like, oh god damn it, dude. So that was his last hurrah of getting me in there. And so he passes away, unfortunately. And the crazy part is I choked on a piece of steak earlier that year, and somebody had to give me the Heimlich. Yeah, it was insane. Yeah, like I was working at a restaurant and somebody gave me a Heimlich, and it was nuts. So
my daughter's choked. Wild. I've had to give my daughter the Heimlich. I've given the Heimlich to, well, let's see. I've saved 4 lives, and 3 of them were Heimlichs.
Dude,
and 2 of them were my daughter.
I learned how to do.
Yeah,
it's crazy, man. That shit, like,
it works.
And like,
if
just
you do it right.
Have you ever choked before? Like,
I watched my little brother choke on steak at our kitchen table in my grandmother's place. I'll never forget my dad running around and like bam, and that steak fucking flying out. And then my daughter, she was choking on something, and I got it out. And then this last time she was eating pizza, and the cheese, she got the cheese stuck in her throat, and she could not get out. She's like, and bam, and that motherfucker said, shot out.
It shoots out, man. It hurts too. The Heimlich, like,
that's what she's like. It hurts.
Really
I go,
hurts.
I did it right. That's why I fucking you can break even successfully. You can break someone's ribs. Yeah,
for sure. So
what was his funeral like? I mean, I hope you all sent him out like the way he was.
That's what I've kind of been building this one up to, man. Is the funeral was different. So my mom is a very sweet lady. Like if you met me and my brother, like we're wild as shit, but my mom is the opposite. She's very calm, just the sweetest lady ever. So she's religious. So she did invite, like we had like a priest and everything there and stuff, but it was just at a funeral home. But there was probably like 400 people there. There was like standing room only, like, and it was like people flew in everywhere. Like it was insane the amount of people were there. Cause my brother really did have like, he was one of those people where he'd show up, there's always like 12 people with him. Like, and it didn't matter what day it was. And so we're at this funeral. So we're at the funeral and everyone's there. And the night before, me and my friends were in charge of compiling the pictures for the slideshow. So I had to go through my brother's personal computer and find all this. And we're all like drinking and smoking while we're doing it. And it's like late. So we're kind of rushing through it. We're not really paying attention to what we're putting in there and shit. And so they start the funeral and everybody's in there and it's like everyone I know. And they start showing the pictures and there's like picture after picture of my brother just annihilated, wasted, just party pictures and shit. And then one in particular shows up and it's a Christmas cookie he decorated. And instead of sprinkles, there's Xanax bars all over the cookie. And I look at it and I look at my aunt and I'm just like, oh my God. And then there's more pictures like that keep showing up. And then my friend, who was my brother's best friend, she runs up to me and she goes, have you looked at the table, the memorial table they set up for your brother? And I was like, no, my mom set it up. And she goes, well, you're welcome. And I go, what? She goes, there was a there was a tray out that had coke dust all over the tray.
Oh.
There was weed all over the table. No one paid attention that there was just like drugs stuck to all the shit they set out on the table. So our entire family was just like,
oh wait, it was
like,
his. It was his
yeah,
old
it's his shit. They just grabbed it out of his room. So like literally somebody grabbed a coke tray out of his room and just set it on his memorial table. And there's like all this crazy shit on it. There's like, I'm like literally walking up going, just blowing like weed dust and shit off of everything. And so it gets to the part where we have to do the eulogies and stuff. And I don't know where my mom got this priest, but like the priest kept calling him my older brother. She like pronounced my dad's name wrong. She like got everybody's name. It was a shit show. And then so it finally got up to where I was able to give a eulogy. And so I got up there and I had prepared something. And so when I got up there, I kind of just told everybody, I was like, you know, my brother wasn't normal, so this won't be either. And then so I pulled out a 40 ounce of Old English malt liquor, and I cracked it and I started pouring it out for him. And I gave a eulogy. Let me pull it up what I actually said. I said, there will never be another, and I doubt the world could handle two. I hope the blunts are endless and the gin flows forever. And then, do you know what a cash machine is? Like it like sprays cash out when you pull the trigger.
Yeah,
like
yeah. I've seen those. Yeah.
He had one made by that Supreme company. So as soon as I hit that last line, I hope the gin flows forever, I started chugging the malt liquor and I shot the cash machine off the air. So this fake like $100 bills just fly all over the room. And then I had this set up prior, but then I got him to start playing Gin and Juice by Snoop Dogg over the loudspeaker as soon as the cash. So like my entire extended family is here and they don't know what the fuck is going on, because all my brother's friends immediately start jumping up screaming when I pull off the cash machine. And then Snoop Dogg starts playing and everybody kind of just starts partying to Snoop Dogg, basically. Gin and Juice was his favorite song, so that's why we played it. But
so you did, and then proper.
Oh man, yeah. And then that whole night was just they rented out an entire restaurant like party room, and the bar was free, and it was insane, man. Like it was way too crazy of a party for my parents to be at. Like insane. But yeah, so
well, dude, I can't thank you enough for coming on and talking about your brother like that. And I got to say, like, and I think you agree too, just by the smile on your face and the way you remember his stories, like he did it right. I look, everybody fucks up, but he lived life like he should have lived life. That's a goddamn shame to I mean, so he died 3 times. Your brother died.
Yeah.
Your brother's officially died 3 times.
The craziest thing about it, man, is he never once complained. Like, ever.
That's what I'm saying.
I never heard him say anything about being in a wheelchair. Never once was like, fuck this fucking sucks. It was always just like, what are we doing?
Right.
Like, let's
Where
go
are we
do something.
And then he's out there doing it by himself.
Dude, yeah, he had 10 years of just like, I mean, I really just skimmed the top of that shit. Like some of the shit I can't even remember. Like they beat up rappers and shit. Like there's crazy shit that they did that I can't even remember. Like, but yeah, they did wild stuff, man.
Well,
but yeah.
Thank you for coming on and sharing your story. I really do appreciate it. And for any of you out there who have a story that needs to be heard, please submit it to honeydewpodcast@gmail.com. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and come see me on tour. Night Pants Nation Tour is out there. Go to ryansickler.com for tickets. Your ringtones are there. All that stuff. Thank you so much. We'll talk to y'all next week.